So within WarThunder, a lot of players want to get better at the game, which is totally understandable. But the thing about it is you can't really get better at the game unless you know the basics of how everything works. In this video, we're basically going to be going over some of the intermediate stuff that people should know about WarThunder, and hopefully some of these things help you, and we're going to try to do it under 5 minutes to save you guys some time. This video is mainly going to be around the ground forces whenever it comes to WarThunder, but we will be throwing a little bit of some air tips in here as well, just to help you guys out, especially whenever it comes to cast. So if everyone has a wonderful video, make sure to like and sub to the channel if this video does help you. And now onto the video itself. So the first thing we're going to look at is the main parameter settings within your settings tab. Some of these need to be enabled and some of these need to be disabled, and some of these things can actually help you a ton whenever it comes to WarThunder. So we're going to go through each one of these tabs. If we skip one, it just means it's not relevant to the time that we're looking at it, but majority of these you will need. So main parameters, you don't really need to change anything here. On common battle settings, always disable join already active battles unless you're like having insane queue times. Because think about this, you're joining into a battle late and people can already be in position before you can, and people can already be in the air before you are. So you're just joining in late and coming in at a disadvantage. For air battle settings, you can change whatever you want to in this to whatever you like, but at least to me, what I always like to do is I like to disable this autopilot for gunner and bomb sight mode, because if you do this, if it's on always, you cannot control your plane as well whenever you're in the bomber view of an aircraft, especially for cast planes. This helps you a ton with bombing. Whenever it comes to the ground vehicle battle settings, all you need to do in this one is you need to disable grass in tank sight mode, because this basically just gives you a disadvantage because grass is actually rendered in for your tank sight. It makes your FPS lower, and also you just won't see people whenever they can see you. So this is definitely a one I recommend, highly recommend disabling if you do have it enabled. The next thing you need to disable is the camera from tank gunner sight. Basically, this is a simulator type thing where you're actually looking through the optics of where the gunner would be looking through. The problem with this is that there's parallax to it. So whenever you fire your cannon, you kind of are off a little bit, and yeah, you can get used to it, but why would you want to get used to it? Because it's different for every single vehicle within the game. But if you're just using the basic of turning this off, every single gun in the game will pretty much perform the same whenever it comes to looking at your markers to shoot at. So the next tab we're going to be looking at is customization of vehicles. This one is personal preference, to be honest, but it can give you an advantage within the game, because basically what this does is it gets rid of any of the skins that you can get on the marketplace, which are considered fictional. But if you have it on any, some people are running bright camouflage tanks with cool looking skins, and you're able to pick them out way easier than if they're running some sort of camouflage. So I do recommend doing to any. I mean, I know some people don't want to see these skins, but at the end of the day, this video is completely about getting better at WarThunder, and any sort of advantage you can have will be a good one. So the next thing you need to worry about whenever it comes to WarThunder is your sound settings. So surprisingly, WarThunder actually gives us a lot of options whenever it comes to adjusting sound within the game. You can adjust sound for your engine, you can adjust sound for your gunfire, you can even adjust sound for other players' engines, which is really overpowered, by the way. And it gives you the ability to like listen and hear where people are coming from, especially in ground forces battle. So what my recommendation is that I like to have my engine on just so I can always tell whenever it's on if I ever do have to turn it off. So I put mine at around 54%. Now do remember this is different for like everybody, because everyone has different headsets, they have different audio things, and it's just different. So you have to find the balance that you prefer within the game. Maybe this one won't work for you, but you can try it out before you try it out, like moving it around. So for me, I always make my engine lower. I'm at like 54%. For gunfire is all the way up because I want to hear cannons whenever they go off, because then I'm able to hear if enemies are around the corner. And sometimes you can even tell what the enemy tank is because you know how the cannon sounds, like the Puma, as well as many other vehicles. The next thing is the other players' engines. You turn that all the way up to 100 because you want to hear enemy engines. The more that you're able to hear within WarThunder have a directional sound to where something is at, the better you will be, because some players play with music on like extremely loud and they can't hear your engine. So sometimes you're able to have a huge advantage over different players within the game. So I do recommend changing your sound settings the most. And then finally, for me at least, speed of sound is a setting you should turn off. I know some people like it because, you know, the A10 Warthog, you hear the rounds actually impact before the little bird it does. But at the end of the day, having the ability to hear sound as soon as it happens within the game just happens to be one of the most overpowered things that you can have. So I recommend taking it off. So the last thing we're going to talk about is my graphic settings with WarThunder. Basically, I just run the high setting. The reason I run high is just it's easy to remember, and it's personally what I like to see within WarThunder. The only things that I disable whenever it comes to the high setting is NVIDIA DLSS. DLSS, because DLSS always does some weird artifacting whenever it comes to WarThunder, especially like tracers and stuff like that from aircraft, and in my opinion isn't a great thing to have on. The only thing else that I turn on is the NVIDIA reflex low latency, and basically for the reflex low latency, it just makes it to where your GPU does a little bit better whenever it comes to latency within the game. You got to realize this: you have your ping latency, you have your mouse click latency, and if you can get rid of your GPU latency, that's definitely something that you should go for. I don't think AMD's GPUs can do this, but if you have anything NVIDIA, they can do that. So yeah, this video has went over 5 minutes, so I did lie to you guys, but hopefully this information helps you within WarThunder. I hope everyone has a wonderful day, and I'll see you guys in the next WarThunder video.